Hello and welcome back to the Discovery Workshop ASMR. And today I'm doing an introduction to a documentary series I plan to host here on this YouTube channel. So this is the trailer to a series of video presentations featuring mainly birds, such as my red factor canary here. I don't normally write scripted videos, but because this is for a documentary series, I need to improve the quality of how I present my videos, so hopefully this has some David Attenborough style professionalism. I also plan to add different versions of these scripts to the uploaded video descriptions in case I've missed anything out that I was supposed to mention during the filming process. This series on keeping various birds and the stuff that goes into looking after them will also include tips on the different ways of housing and breeding a diverse array of avian life. I'm still a bit of a beginner to this myself, so we'll see how it goes. The red factor is the initial star of the entire documentary because he appears to serve as the great canary in the coal mine of discovery that can inspire people to delight in the Lord as the creator of the universe. I purchased this red factor a little while ago from a local breeder who specializes in red factors. It's often better to buy from a private breeder than pet shops that charge a markup on everything. Plus, they tend to be more knowledgeable. Because I'm learning Te Reo, I've named my wee red factor Fiddle, which just means red in Maori. The other canary I have hanging, um, the other canary I have hanging up over here, um, I was going to call him Ko-Fi, which means yellow in Maori, but I want to swap him for a hen I can pair with Fiddle, because I didn't plan on getting another male at this stage. So one thing to note with canaries is that when you're pairing them up, you pair an intensive with a frosted. So I think my red factor here, he's a intensive red factor. And so his feather composition has to pair with the softer feather composition, I think, of the frosted, so that the chicks come out with the right kind of feather composition. Otherwise, they have trouble with their feathers or something. I think they might get ingrown feathers or something. I can't remember what it is, but yeah, you have to pair them up right. I think you can pair two frosted together, but an intensive canary needs to pair with a frosted. So yeah, he's an intensive red factor. And this is my little yellow canary. Yeah, so that's that sort of thing to note with pairing up canaries. Yeah. So this yellow canary is quite a pleasant singer and sings quite a lot compared to my red factor here. Red factors are often bred more for their plumage than their song, so they can often lack the singing ability of the standard canaries. For example, this one of mine sings a bit, but not much compared to this yellow one over here, even with better lighting. So I suspect a lot of the pedigree red factors don't sing that much. I also suspect this lack of song is linked to a decline in fertility, because red factors can be known to lack fertility, making them harder to breed than the standard canaries. As for the size difference between these two birds, I think the reason for that is due to the yellow one being a miniature canary called a fife canary. These little Scottish canaries were bred for their smaller size and cuteness, while my red factor was possibly selectively bred to be bigger than usual. I want to specialize in red factors because they're a good talking point for biological dialogue. These birds are like a huge rabbit hole of intellectual conversations. So, yeah, this little fella up here, I think he's a. I think the reason for his smaller size is he's the miniature canary called a fife canary. So yeah, I think that's what it is, and he looks mostly yellow, but he has got a slight sort of a orange tinge to him. He's kind of like a slight peach color, and that's because I like to make sure I always have the red factor gene in there. So yeah, I didn't know he was a male. So yeah, because they don't really get along, I've had to put him in a little cage here. But I plan to swap them. I think on Wednesday I'll have them swapped. Yeah. So hopefully this pans out. So yeah, I think he's a bit bigger than usual. So I think the breed I got him from selectively breeds his canaries a bit bigger than the usual size. So yeah. So about this breeding cabinet. This breeding cabinet is one way of housing a pair of canaries. I bought mine from 10 or 12 millimeter ply. Originally it was just my shelf, and I just added a bit of framing and a tray and some perches, plus the wee nest on the side here. For the two small doors I used twin wall polycarbonate. I also used a sheet of twin wall in the floor of the tray. I did make a divider for this cabinet using that same twin wall stuff as well, but I'm hoping I won't need to use it. So this here's that twin wall stuff. It's for small doors. There's also twin wall in this tray, in the floor of the tray. And the divider here, I just cut a bit of twin wall. So the divider, if I can open this up without them flying out, the divider slides in here between the popsicle sticks I've glued down and up there. So that's inside his cage. That's his little habitat. And those are his food dishes, seed dispensers, water there. So yeah, that's that part. So yeah, I've heard the male likes to chase the female a lot during the nesting season, but to mitigate that, I plan to pair my one up with two females and hopefully see them raise two lots of chicks. So I'm hoping I won't need to use that divider if he's got two hens. And yeah, that's the plan. Because the sort of setup I've got here may be a little awkward trying to, and I like them to have enough space to kind of flap their wings and that. So hopefully he behaves himself. I'm struggling to get enough light in this cabinet. As you can see, I've hole sawed holes in the side here to beam more light in. So the holes there that I've drilled out. So I added that in just to get a little more light in. So to do that, I just used my trusty new Ryobi drill inside there, and I just chucked I just put a hole saw thing in it, one of the big ones that I've got lying around somewhere. yeah, so that's how I managed to punch those holes out. Plus, I use solar lights, um, and also often leave my bedroom light on. Bedroom lights on. Um, the best solar lights so far for this is just the basic cheap $13 Kmart one, that blue one hanging there. These other ones annoy me a bit because they often prove difficult to switch on. So I recommend the simple Kmart ones. Plus, they're brighter. Um, I do have some cabinet lights coming, and I plan to fit one in here as well. They're rechargeable via USB port. I also got some rolls of tint strips in case they're too bright. Artificial light can be disorientating, and the cabinet lights don't seem to have a dim setting, so without that feature, tinting them is the other option. So I plan to have a sort of like a tube style light up in there with magnets kind of go in there, and yeah, one I can just flick on and give them extra light during the day. I have two of them that I can just switch between, make sure they've always got one charged that'll give them a full day. Because I put the cover over. I cover them at night. I cover them at night with just a t-shirt or something. Just to settle them in, because when you're trying to do stuff, when the sun's gone down, these fellas, they wake up easy and they start jumping around. So I get the cover on them around about 5ish in the morning. I get up early, about 7, take the cover off. Sometimes about 5 I take the cover off. So they can enjoy the day. Now for a concise overview on some of the things I feed my canaries. At the moment, I feed them standard birdseed. So the standard birdseed here is one thing I feed them. They mainly go for the little millet seeds in this mix here. So that's mainly what they like out of that. The millet in this mix seems to be the main seed they eat. I also make up an egg and biscuit feed for them on occasion. I just add hot water to this stuff, mix it round with a bit of seed in it till it seems doughy and crumbly. So over here, this is the soft food that I make up for them sometimes. I haven't got much of it left, but yeah, that's a sort of a special little treat for them. And at the end, I might add a bit of grated carrot into it for their plumage. Plus, carrot helps me with my rheumatism. I've also started a small mealworm farm to give them some extra little treats on the side. As for greens, the main one they seem to love are the grass seeds. Also, these shelled sunflower seeds seem to be one they really go for. Grit from the beach helps their digestion, so it's good to give them that to help them break down food in their crop. Cuttlefish bone is a good source of calcium for them, so it helps to provide that too. These are the basics I try to provide for them in their seed dispensers and terracotta saucers. They also enjoy fresh water to bath in and drink, so I try to always provide that for them in these water dispensers fixed to the side and the terracotta saucers inside there. So yeah, so the other things, so this is my my little mealworm farm down here. I just take this off and I dig around in there, have a dig around, and I give him a few mealworms as a treat. Add that to his dish. These are his water dispensers, and inside here, he's got his seed dispensers and a bit of millet spray. So there's his water, the terracotta. That's his bath water. There's his sort of seed mix. I added a bit of malt biscuit in there, ground up from my my blender, because there's mealworms in there as well. That's he's been having a pick around in there, and yeah, they really also go for these. They're the sunflower seeds. They love these. So I try to always have some of those to chuck in there, because they really go for them. As the shelled sunflower seeds. If they haven't got the shell on them, they can eat them no problem. They're not normally with the shell. The cockatiels love them. So yeah, that's some of their food. The goal is to build a huge bird aviary for them, but I also want some tame ones I can take out in my room when it's laid out a certain way. Like, I made this for perches. That up there, I made that for perches with and that over there, I made that for perches with some plywood branches, a plywood and some branches from the manuka tree. That also functions as a small coffee table when flipped around the other way. And I made this one with just manuka branches. That one up there. So it hangs there. So these are their perches when I take them out. I like to use manuka in their cages as well. So in their cages, manuka's a good one. They make excellent perches for finches and parrots. Apparently our native parrot, the kakariki, likes to eat manuka to cleanse himself of parasites. So it seems like a good type of wood to use for perches. In fact, I plan to grow heaps of it because it's a natural antiseptic. Plus, manuka honey is very nice, and beehives could be another future prospect if I manage to play my cards right. But I digress. So yeah, that's one of the perches I've planned to use. Perch sort of setups. If I have some tame ones I can have flying around, that I can just kind of like let out of the cage. I can fly over here, land on that, or they can fly up here and land on this, and yeah, they can be my little buddies. This here can also function as a little coffee table. Yeah, but kind of scuffy, but I sort of thought, they might kind of like something a bit rustic, and thinking about, how they might pop and all that sort of stuff. It was kind of consolidate sort of things. Yeah. I used to have a tame budgie years and years ago. Took a little bit to tame him. I used to put my hand in the cage and follow him around, and eventually, he'd hop on my finger, and eventually I could get him out of the cage. And the time I could get him out of the cage, he was real super tame. I used to do the stairs with both my hands, and he'd climb up my fingers. And I could even like that with my arm, and tap on my arm, and he would fly to me and land on my arm, and he would run up and down my arm, and he'd be talking to my finger. And he was a really tame little budgie. And he used to do this funny thing with like a bulldog peg. He used to grab the bulldog peg like by the bit of metal piece. he'll run around with it on his cage, kind of tossing it back with his head, like that. And he'd even fly up in the air and drop it on the ground, and fly down and grab it and fly up in the air with it again, and then run around on his cage with it, doing the head tossing back and forth with it. It was real unusual, but yeah, that fella was real tame. But then he turned into a bit of a biter. He was good when you put your hand in the cage to bring him out. You're happy to come out on your finger. As soon as he was out, you didn't want to go back in his cage, so he start biting you. But yeah, that was my budgie I tamed. But these fellas, they seem more placid than budgies. Budgies can become real biters. But yeah. Anyway, so that's my plan, is to have some tame red factor canaries. Anyway, please follow my journey as I attempt to hand rear some baby red factor canaries and have some extremely tame ones I can display and showcase on this channel as part of an avian documentary series. This series will include domestic wildlife photography covering mainly birds. The red factor serves as a key central focus and main prop to this thought-provoking amateur documentary series that attempts to cover various subjects such as zoology, biology, cosmology, ecology, theology, history, horticulture, conspiracy, politics, and law. Part 1 in this series will also include other key props, such as these two ornaments of a tiger and a knight, which will serve to illustrate a renaissance of ideas and insights into the nature of life. So these here, this tiger here and knight there, I'm gonna use them as props for illustrating other things as well. So not just my buddy here, but also some other things I'm gonna include. Yeah, so that's that, and so yeah, so stay tuned for more, and please like and subscribe, and over and out.